If you want to win a fantasy football championship, you have to make some trades. Let's talk about how you can make the best trades before NFL Week 10. What's up, guys? I'm Zach Brunner here from Flurry Sports, and today we're going to talk about how you can best make trades, how to pull off some of these great trades, and how you can position yourself to win a fantasy football championship. If you're sitting around, you think your team's super good, and you get comfortable. If you get comfortable, it feels like you're going to be losing your league, right? If you don't make a trade, that's fine, but you need to be snooping around. You need to be trying to make moves, unless you have Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith, and Jigba as your receiving core. You got Lamar Jackson, you got Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, whatever it may be. If you were completely stacked, even still, you probably can better your bench at least somehow. But for the most part, everybody can make a trade. Everybody can better their team somehow. Snoop around. There's going to be some people that are very, very desperate. There's going to be some people who are just stupid, right? And we are going to show you how to best make trades before NFL Week 10. We got a bunch of resources here for you and some just good advice, I would say. But let's jump right into it. Pretty much everything I mentioned today, by the way, is going to be linked down below in the description. So go check out all of the links there. Not all of the data I'm showing you is for this week because I want you to go and check out those other resources as well. But to get full access to the full version of all of these resources, you can become a member, which is pretty inexpensive, I think. $5 per month or $35 for a full calendar year. Let's show you that. Not everything will be needed to do that, though. One second. So if you go to buymeacoffee.com/Zach Brunner, it'll take you here. You can just show your support by sending me some coffee here, staying up late at night. But if you want to become a member, again, $5 per month, $15 per month, or if you want to do it for a full year, it is $35 for a full year. Not too shabby. You get access to a bunch of posts here. Some of these are free that you can look at right now if you support, and some of them are just public. But these are some of the resources we'll be going over today. And as you can see next to pretty much all of these, free for members. That is what we are doing here, or extremely discounted for members in terms of the fantasy team consultation. A lot of people have liked that. But if you do $5 per month, you get all of these things for free, right? That is definitely the better deal. Or some people, for some reason, I don't know why, want to just purchase these one-off things, and that's totally cool. But if you become a member, you get them for free. You get access to more things, and you get to join a group chat with me to ask any fantasy questions you want at any point in the day. However, if you have any fantasy questions after this video as well, definitely put them in the description, and I'll jump in there and answer questions. I know some other people from Flurry Sports will do so as well. And if you see other people's questions and you want to chime in, by all means, this is just a cool fantasy community, right? We are just trying to help each other out. We're all trying to win a fantasy football championship. And that starts with, making good decisions. And don't get too comfortable is the theme of this. So, flurrysports.org. This is my website. If you've never been there, I suggest going there. We have a bunch of good information. One of the things you need to be looking at is my fantasy football rest of season rankings. These are completely free if you go to Flurry Sports right now. Updated, posted today. The update was every Friday. That is what today is. Every Friday, you get the new rest of season rankings. So if you go here, I'm going to be going over my trade value chart in a little bit. Part of my trade value chart is based on my rest of season rankings. But, if you want to look at your roster and you say, hey, I have Derrick Henry. Is he the best running back for me going forward? Is that who I think I should have going forward? And you look around and say, hey, look at that. Zach has Devon Achane ranked above him. This person's offering me Achane for Henry straight up. I should make that trade because Zach likes him more than Henry straight up. You can do that by all means. Full rest of season rankings here. We have over 200 people ranked. So by all means, go and check this out. This is just the flex here, but you got quarterbacks as well. Half PPR. PPR doesn't change a whole lot. But if you have questions about PPR, if you have questions about standard scoring, by all means, please let me know. And you can see the updated date right here. Updated that last night, Thursday night. So pretty much everything is, not pretty much, everything's up to date here. And if you want little blurbs, you can click this. But these rest of season rankings are very important the rest of the way. You can use this data right here in tandem with the rest of the stuff I'm going to talk about today. But yes, flurrysports.org is definitely a great resource for you. It's not just information from me, it's information from, you've seen Luke on this channel quite a bit. He's got a bunch of stuff there. We got stuff from Trevor Land as well. We got Ashton doing some stuff. So definitely go check that out. But you can use this in tandem. And this is one of the things that you can buy. And I'm just giving it to you for this week. This is fully updated. So if you want to pause, by all means, I'm just going to give this to you. This is the fantasy playoff strength of schedule updated through week 9. So after this week, this will be updated a little bit, obviously. But just looking at it straight up, and you can look at the full schedule here if you wish as well. But if you get this and become a member, if you buy this in the shop, you get access to the spreadsheet here. You can see who specifically has a good schedule. So even like DSTs here, if you're trying to hold on to the best DST possible, if you are clinched, if you've clinched the playoffs already, if you're very, very comfortable in that regard, start looking ahead to the fantasy football matchups in the fantasy playoffs so you don't get absolutely screwed. But look at this, the DSTs with the easiest matchups here. The Panthers, the Jets, the Steelers, the Bucks, the Saints, the Dolphins. What a bad group up top. So maybe you're not necessarily keying in on wanting to hold some of these guys, except for the Steelers. Maybe they are a little bit interesting after some of the adjustments they made with like Jalen Ramsey playing safety now, just typical safety, simplifying their defense. They definitely looked better. They looked faster. Last week, they looked more like the Steelers. So maybe a sign of things to come. But regardless, just as important as the easiest matchups, which a lot of bad defenses have easy matchups, tough matchups, right? The Seahawks have been absolutely insane. They've been so good for fantasy. Do I think they're going to be terrible down the stretch because of a terrible fantasy playoff schedule? Not necessarily. Let's see who they specifically play. They play Indy, Rams, Panthers, right? Panthers in the fantasy football championship would be fantastic. And we're talking week 17. If you play in week 18, I would talk to your commissioner and let them know, hey, maybe you should not be a commissioner anymore, because that would be a stupid decision to do. But Indy and the Rams, not super easy. So this is what I'll say. I wouldn't be dropping the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are an outstanding defense. I think they have value still. But maybe you can add them onto a trade. Maybe you add the Seahawks onto a mid-tier tight end to upgrade to a great tight end, right? Especially if that person's desperate. They're not necessarily caring about the strength of schedule, and you obviously don't need to let them know this as well. But this is not a defense that you necessarily think is a difference maker in the fantasy playoffs, like they have been so far. And with that being the case, we don't care. If you lose a couple weeks and you've already clinched the playoffs, that doesn't necessarily matter. You are trying to get the wins in the playoffs. So maybe the Seahawks, maybe the Packers, maybe the Patriots and Browns. Browns have been decent for whatever it's worth as well. Maybe these are not the defenses you want to hold for the fantasy playoffs. Or if you have one of these defenses, maybe you want to have a second defense to help play the matchups. We saw with Seattle, Carolina in the fantasy championship. That's not bad. If you can have someone who's good for the 2 weeks before that, maybe that is a way to go, right? You know, Seahawks, they have Indy and the Rams. Maybe you get the Steelers who play the Dolphins in that first week, and maybe you can pick somebody else up, the Eagles or something like that for that next week. You know what I mean? But yeah, fantasy football strength of schedule is important. Obviously, quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, all correlated. But just looking at some of the teams who have easy wide receiver matchups, the Giants, hey, Wan'Dale Robinson is still a little bit undervalued, I would say, and maybe somebody else steps up there. The Cowboys, maybe George Pickens is a person you want to trade for because, one, they have a great schedule. They're going to be passing the ball, and he's going to be valuable regardless. But also, maybe if you really want to roll the dice, maybe CeeDee Lamb gets hurt. You know what I mean? Maybe he gets hurt again. Maybe the Cowboys get ruled out. They are mathematically eliminated, and CeeDee Lamb takes a seat, and it's George Pickens the rest of the way. Never know. Never know. That is full speculation, but I'm just telling you different ways you can think about this. But these are the easiest fantasy matchups in the fantasy playoffs. Take a look at this. I would definitely go and check this out. This is very important information. And again, it updates every single week. Tuesdays usually is when you get the brand new data for this. Now, we have our rest of season rankings. We have our strength of schedule. Those things are very good. I think those things are good for determining value for yourself, right? These are the types of players that you want to have on your team for the fantasy playoffs to win that fantasy championship. These are very important. However, how do you make a trade now? And who do you trade? And what is a good trade? And that is what we're talking about here. Now, I've seen so many fantasy sites basically just say, here's my rest of season rankings, and I'm going to apply a value to them. And that's their trade value. That's not true. That's not true whatsoever. If I told you that this is my fantasy football trade value chart right here, then why would anybody else do anything different? That's stupid. No one would trade James Cook for Josh Jacobs if that was the case, right? Because everyone thinks this is the value for them. That's not true. So my trade value chart, and again, if you want to go to flurrysports.org, by the time you're watching this, the new article will be up that includes probably about a half, maybe a third of the data for this. So if you just want to look at free data, totally cool. By all means, but by no reason do you have to give me money, by the way. No reason. But if you want to show your support, if you want access to more data, that would be the case for that, right? But we have plenty of free data for you. Just you watching the video means a ton. So if you want to like and subscribe, by the way, new videos every single day in November. So if you like this, definitely go. And just any free support is great. If you want access to more data, you can see you get 30 wide receivers here. This was last week. There was 79 total. So if you want more, if you want more accurate, you know what I mean? Pay a little bit more. But otherwise, you get 20 running backs. That's pretty good as well. But what I was going to say, not only is this my rest of season rankings, I included through, an equation and stuff like that, the perceived value from the rest of the industry. And with that, not everybody listens to me. Not everyone is tuning in to Zach Brunner and figuring out, hey, what does Zach Brunner think? And that's fine. Maybe they should, but you are one of the select smart few who do so. So we're taking what other people in the industry think as well, and that's how we can figure out what people's perceived value is for a player. So with this trade value chart, I have it for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. This will help you make a trade. And is it as black and white as if I trade Harold Fannin at 9.3 and Terry McLaurin at 20.8? Can I get a player who is 30? Can I get Garrett Wilson? Maybe. I think at the very least, it's a very good starting point, or you can use that to figure out if someone's ripping you off as well. I think this is more accurate than any other fantasy trade value chart in the rest of the industry because of the things that I apply to it. Like I said, the perceived value for the rest of the industry, my rest of season rankings, and then on top of that, I also include a bit of a premium for the top 2 tiers of players at every single position. So whenever I get a trade or whenever I'm trying to make a trade, usually I'm trying to get the best player in that trade. If I get the best player, that's a win, in my opinion, for the most part. So for players like CeeDee Lamb, once I did the algorithm, once I did the equation and I got the number that I got, I actually applied a boost, the same boost for tier 1 players to his score, because I think he's more valuable because he is the best player in the trade usually. And then tier 2 players, I did the same thing. It's just a lesser boost. But again, this just goes into what I perceive as the best and most accurate fantasy trade value rankings chart score whatever that may be. And every single Friday, right after my rest of season rankings, this comes out on flurrysports.org as well. But if you want to go and get it, if you become a member, $5 per month, you get this absolutely free. You would come to the shop here, you click it, you add to cart, free for members, and it will take you directly to this spreadsheet. Bada bing, bada boom, it's yours. And I think that would help quite a bit. But yeah, the more players that you can add to a trade, in my opinion, just in terms of tips, I would like to get fewer players in the trade. I think it's a big value to open up a roster spot. I'm trying to get the best player in the trade. So if you can add a couple of these players up here and do a 2-for-1, that's what I'm looking to do, especially for the fantasy playoffs ahead. But yeah, use this along with the strength of schedule, along with my rest of season rankings to see. That is how you're going to be making good trades, I would say. And that is going to position you for winning a fantasy football championship. This is updated every single week. Every single week. So if you enjoy videos like this, and if you want me to dive deeper into this data, I'm not above going over the updated free data for you here. Like, again, that trade value chart that I just showed you there, that was for last week. By the time you're watching this, the new trade value chart will be up. All of the data will be available for you. So definitely go and get that. Links in the description for everything here. For absolutely everything. I want you to win a fantasy football championship. I want you to brag to your friends that, hey, Flurry Sports helped me win a fantasy football championship. I want everybody who watches this to win a championship. Like the video if you enjoyed this. Subscribe, please. And along with asking fantasy questions, which you absolutely can do, I'll jump in the comments and answer them. I want to know what other data you want. I want to know what other videos you want, articles you want. We are here to help you. And like I said, every single day in November, there's going to be a brand new video here on this channel. Tomorrow, what I think I'm going to be doing is one of two things. I might do parlays to place for this weekend, or I might do futures bets to place before this weekend. One or the other, and maybe I'll do one Friday or one Saturday, one Sunday. Let me know if that's of interest of you. But if there's something else specifically that you want, please let me know. And by the way, if you're a member, you can request anything, and we're going to do that. If you are a member and you say, hey, all of this data is really good, I really enjoy all of this, I would like this bit of data too, I'll go get it. If you want me to do a specific member stream or a member's video or something like that, answering all of your trade questions, I'll do it. Just let me know any requests. We will do that within reason, but for the most part, you know, get a little creative, explore the space. Worst I can say is no, but for the most part, that's not going to happen. I'll see you tomorrow. Please subscribe. Please like. If you want to be notified when the new videos drop, please hit that notification bell. I would really, really appreciate it. And I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye. Fuck yeah.